Hi everyone. We are going to talk a little bit about trauma today, which is unfortunately a topic that each one of us can relate to, whether through our own personal stories or the stories we carry for others. Trauma is just something we all understand too well. In fact, most of us, more than 70% of us, will experience at least one traumatic incident in their lifetime. I'm not talking about delivering a bad talk or missing out on an ERC grant, but real trauma. Think about sexual assault, domestic violence, car accidents. And with, obviously, unfortunately, with the ongoing Israel Hamas conflict, these rates have been likely much higher. But here's the good news most people are really resilient. Most of us bounce back. We may struggle for a while, but with time, most of us recover. Now, it doesn't always work like this, and for some, the impact of the trauma really lingers. These are the kind of people who would experience, for example, PTSD. And one of the biggest questions in my field is why? What differentiates us in the way we respond to trauma? Why do two siblings who experience the same childhood abuse end up on two completely different paths? One is resilient, and the other one stuck in cycles of depression or PTSD. So these are the kind of questions that drive what we do at the TRACE, the Trauma Research and Clinical Engagement Lab. And so we work in three different arenas. First, we try to address this big question of why do people respond differently to trauma? We also try to understand what's going on in your brains and what can we learn about trauma from brain scans. Because the idea is that if we better address these two questions, if we understand and identify mechanisms underlying PTSD, then we can better treat it, right? Or at least improve existing methods. But what I want to focus on today is this third arena of how do we even bring them in treatment? How can we engage or encourage people, mostly youth, to seek treatment? Because the truth is that even the best treatment out there is useless if you avoid it. And you would think that everyone who went through something traumatic and awful would seek professional support, but that's not the case. Most people, many trauma survivors, avoid treatment. And there are practical barriers, sure, cost, time, language, cultural fit, many more. But there's also shame, secrecy, and stigma. And many trauma survivors feel weak for needing help, or they worry that people might think negatively about them if they seek treatment, so they don't share, they don't speak up. Stigma is something that is really true to the mental health field in general and to different types of trauma. But there is something about childhood abuse. Things like severe abuse or ongoing neglect in childhood that deserves more attention. Many trauma survivors, because of the early onset, the chronicity, the fact that it's most often caused by the very own people who were to protect you, your parents, your siblings, all of these makes it very hard for childhood trauma survivors to speak up and to get treatment. And this is even worse among youth, where we really see high levels of stigma for various developmental and social reasons, obviously. So what can we do about this? How can we help these people to seek treatment? We all know the dark side of social media, right? Endless comparisons, misinformation, cyberbullying. But social media also has the potential to reach people in a way that is immediate, personal, and scalable. Besides, it's not going anywhere. Most youth spend way too much time there. So how can we leverage this? How can we use social media to help people, especially youth, reach treatment? That was the aim of this project that we had in mind. So here's what we did. We partnered with Columbia Psychiatry and Yale School of Medicine on a series of online projects. In these projects, we developed brief selfie-style videos, the kind of videos you would see on Instagram while you typically scroll through your feed. And in these videos, young people share a little bit about their stories, their stigma, their concerns about treatment, and how the treatment gradually helped them cope. It wasn't a magical solution, it was a process, but it helped them cope. And we've already demonstrated the potential of these brief videos in reducing diverse aspects of stigma in different populations like depressed youth, people with psychosis, schizophrenia, even in the context of the ongoing conflict, where we encourage displaced civilians to seek treatment. I want to share with you a few seconds, just a taste of the video that we designed specifically for this population, for childhood trauma survivors, and what we learned on how we can use it to reduce their stigma.
Growing up in a violent household wasn't easy. It took me a while to understand that the fact that I wasn't getting things that I needed as a child was what was truly wrong. That I deserved more. I remember being so embarrassed to tell other people that I was being abused by the people who were supposed to protect me. I was just afraid that they wouldn't get it. And so every time I thought about it, there was just this gut feeling of guilt and shame. And I really just blamed myself all the time, which made it even harder to speak up. Things started to change once I finally decided to get help. I really had to take things into my own hands and find support. That's the key, accepting that you need help.
Talking about stigma can also cause stigma. So one of the first things we wanted to make sure is that by using this video, we do no harm. So we tested the effectiveness of this video on a bunch of people that we recruited online using different crowdsourcing platforms. These people had experienced childhood trauma. And we assessed different aspects of stigma and help seeking before and after they watched this video. We also compared the effectiveness of this video to what is usually done in our field, which is a same length educational video, presenting just generic facts about treatment, a little bit about stigma, some information about treatment, lacking any personal narrative, which is really the key mechanism that we believe is driving these effects. And we assess different aspects of stigma and help seeking before and after they watched each of these videos. I want you to take a look at this. Within a couple of days, about 300,000 youth watched these videos. That alone is pretty wild. Here's the number of views that these videos had, because technically you can watch one video more than once. And about 5,000 youth expressed interest in treatment, which is significantly higher than what we could even dream of, really, using existing methods. When we compared the effects of these two videos, we learned that the selfie-style video, the one that you just observed, was significantly better in encouraging them to seek treatment and bringing them in treatment. It was also much more cost-effective. So within less time, it yielded better emotional engagement metrics, shares, likes, comments, views, etc. And we've replicated these findings twice, by the way, just to make sure it's not a fluke. Right now, we spend quite a lot of time on assessing this last stage, real behavioral change, trying to understand how many people actually started treatment following these videos. And so we collaborate with different organizations and clinics here in Israel. And finally, since childhood trauma is a global phenomenon, then we wanted to upscale the impact of these videos. So we collaborated with really some of the best childhood trauma researchers out there, and we adapted the videos to different contexts: South Africa, Peru, Japan, India, Turkey, and many more. And we're currently at the very last stages of analyzing this data, so we're all curious to learn what comes out of it. There's this old Chinese proverb saying, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. We cannot undo childhood trauma. We cannot reverse childhood abuse, but we can really help them cope by helping them now. Social media and Instagram, if it's done right, can really be a key step in paving this way. Thank you.